Yeah. Yes.
All right. Thank you for joining us on this city council meeting, Tuesday, May 9th at 6:03. Mr. City Attorney, if you can close us out of the previous item.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This is the report from closed session. The record should reflect that the City Council, with all 5 members being present, convened for closed session for the 2 items that were listed on the agenda and 1 additional item that was added to the agenda, which was a conference with labor negotiators. On those 3 matters, as I mentioned, all council members were present. No action was taken, which is required to be reported at this time. Direction was provided on the public employee evaluation and also the labor negotiation matter. And the existing litigation was an update to the City Council on the status of that lawsuit. With that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report from closed session. Excuse me, it'd be appropriate to entertain a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
And may we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
All right, and so we had a Mayor Pro Tem motion and a second by Council Member Dr. Monica Sanchez. And now, if we can move on to our roll call. Madam City Clerk, if you kindly lead us into roll call, please.
Councilmember Commissioner Dr. Sanchez. Here. Councilmember Commissioner Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Commissioner Camacho.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice President Lara.
Here.
Mayor President Lutz.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. And now I'd like to move on to the invocation and giving it a little bit of a different twist here, if we can kindly have our Director of our Director of Parks and Recreation, Pam Ugar. I was thrown off a little bit because she switched seats on me. But with all that being said, Director Ugar, if you can kindly lead us into the invocation, and it'll be followed by a Director Badencourt who's going to provide the flag salute.
We gather here today with the intent on doing good work. We seek to represent fairly and well. To those who have given us this task, may our efforts be blessed with insight, guided by understanding and wisdom. We seek to serve with respect for all. May our personal faith give us strength to act honestly and well in all matters before us.
Please place the flag. Bring your right hand over your heart. Begin.
All right, Mr. City Manager, do we have any changes?
Yes, Mayor, we have one item number 6. There's some additional paperwork that we need to review, so I'd like to pull that item for now.
Okay. Number 6. Okay. And I do want to let the public know that we do not have any of our commissioners in attendance at the moment, and we can now move on to our special presentations. And I am very looking forward to providing, pardon my voice, I lost my voice somewhere on Passons, and I think the 9,000 block of Passons. But with that being said, it is National Public Works Week, and that's from May 21st through May 27th. And it's connecting the world through public works. And it is because of our public works department that we keep our community safe. And with that being said, we want to acknowledge our public works department of the men and women that do the hard labor out in the streets. You see them out there. They risk their lives when traffic passes by, and thank God that they're all safe, and want to keep it that way. So when you do see our public works representatives out taking care of our community, keeping it clean, stop, say hello, and thank them for all the good work that they've been doing, not just yesterday and the day before, but on the years past. And so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and read a couple of items here. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives. And whereas public infrastructure is the backbone of society, and the support and understanding and informed citizenry is a vital to an efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water, storm drains, sewers, streets, highways, our public buildings and facilities and traffic signals. And now, therefore, let it be resolved that the mayor and the city council of our wonderful city of Pico Rivera on this 9th day of May 2023 do hereby proclaim May 21st through May 27th, 2023, National Public Works Week. A big round of applause, and let's have our staff come up. And if I can have Director Noe Negrete and the rest of the Public Works staff come on up and receive this proclamation.
Your posse.
How you doing? Congratulations.
So let's
Do we want council in this as well? Do they want to?
Yeah, if you guys want to come back here.
Yeah.
Out of 45.
Squeeze in more. Stand sideways. Stand sideways. Breathe in. Breathe in.
And again, thank you for our Public Works team for keeping the community safe and clean as always. I do want my colleagues to participate in the proclamations that I have. I have 3 others. And because my voice isn't 100%, I do want to ask Dr. Monica Sanchez, my colleague, to help me with the proclamation denoting National Mental Health Awareness Month.
Thank you. Is my mic on? Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. As we know, which the pandemic has highlighted mental health and the importance of recognizing this. National Mental Health Awareness Month is on May 2023 this year. National Mental Health Awareness Month in May started in the United States in 1949 to raise awareness about mental illnesses and to educate communities about psychological disorders while reducing the stigma that surrounded them. So therefore, I'm not going to read everything. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and city council of the city of Pico Rivera do hereby declare May as Mental Health Awareness Month, and furthermore, supports activities related to increasing understanding of the importance of mental health and to promote the identification and treatment of mental illness. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Monica Sanchez. I appreciate that. And I'm going to ask my colleague, Mayor Pro Tem Andrew Lara, to help with the proclamation of National Foster Care Month, which is, again, also May 2023. And Mayor Pro Tem Lara, if you kindly read for us the whereas.
Thank you, Mayor. 4,400 children and youth live in foster care and are among the most vulnerable populations in the United States. Los Angeles County is home to approximately 33,000 children and youth in foster care, and nearly 23,000 of those children and youth are school-aged. Students in foster care are identified as a subgroup under the Local Control Funding Formula and Local Control Accountability Plan due to being the lowest academically achieving group of students in California. Students in foster care continue to face challenges from COVID-19, housing, food insecurities. For our older youth remain a topic of need. A steady rise in the number of referrals to our local child welfare agency is taking place. The Foster Youth Services Coordinating Program aims to mitigate the trauma students in foster care have experienced and empower them to succeed academically. For 2022, the Children's Bureau created the theme of relative and kin connections, keeping families strong, which speaks to the positive impact this has on our children and youth while in care. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the governing body of the Pico Rivera City Council hereby declares May as National Foster Care Month, and hereby requests that elected officials in the County of Los Angeles and all of its citizens recognize the unique needs of children and youth in foster care and increase both the awareness of the issue and their commitment to helping these young people succeed. And to all of the foster families, if you're a foster parent, you're a key part of this equation.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And I do want to also provide you with our fourth proclamation, which is National Police Week, which is May 14th through the 20th. And I'd like my colleague, Councilmember Camacho, to help me with the proclamation. Councilmember?
Well, thank you, Mayor, and I do have the privilege of recognizing, why do they only get a week? It should be a month or so, but no, look, it's National Police Week, May 14th to the 20th, 2023. It's important that we acknowledge and recognize all the men and women in law enforcement that are working day in and day out in our community to keep it safe, from our captain to our deputies, to our sergeants, to our lieutenants, to all the way up to Sheriff Luna. Just want to make sure that we here in the city of Pico Rivera appreciate law enforcement. We support law enforcement. They do a good job in our community, and it's my honor to read this or say a few words. I'm not going to read all this, quite a lot, but more importantly, on behalf of the city of Pico Rivera, the city council, give this proclamation for National Police Week in honor and respect to all the men and women in law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. And if we can have my colleagues and I, if we can take the pictures for each proclamation, as we want to respect each proclamation for its item. And we'll start off with the National Police Week. And now, National Mental Health Awareness Month. Now National Foster Care Month. All right, now it's appropriate to move on to our public hearings. We have two public hearings. Our first one is approval of resolutions related to the landscape and lighting assessment district number 1 for fiscal year 23 to 24. We will now open the public hearing. Mr. City Manager, do we have any memos?
None.
Okay. And now we're going to move on to written communication. Do we have any written communication? Madam City Clerk, on item 1.
There is none.
Okay, any oral communications, item 1?
There is none.
Okay, it's appropriate now to close the public hearing, and can we get a motion?
I move, Mr. Mayor.
Great, and can I have a second?
I second.
All right, so we have Councilmember Garcia, a first, and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Lara. Moving on to public hearing, item number 2, approval.
Mayor, we need a vote.
Oh, yes, that's correct. And Madam City Clerk, can we have roll call, please? Item 1.
Councilmember Dr. Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Camacho,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lara,
Yes.
Mayor Lutz.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you for that. Item 2, approval of resolutions related to the Paramount Mines Landscape Maintenance Assessment District for fiscal year 23 to 24. We're going to open the public hearing. Mr. City Manager, do we have a memo?
None, Mayor.
Thank you. And do we have any written communications, Madam City Clerk?
There is none.
Oral communications?
There is none.
All right. We'll now close the public hearing. Can we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Lara first, a second by Councilmember Camacho, and we have roll call, please.
Councilmember Dr. Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Camacho,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lara,
Yes.
Mayor Lutz.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you for that. And now moving on to our consent calendar items. We have items 3 to 13.
Mayor,
Yes.
excuse me, we need a public comment period.
Very good, thank you for that. Now moving on to our public comment. We have 3 public comments as well as 1 emailed comment. And we'll go ahead and start with Alan Long. Mr. Long, kindly move over to the lectern, and you have 3 minutes. The screen there on your right-hand side denotes the time, and you can start now.
All right. My name is Alan Long. I'm president of Ad Distribution. I've operated from the same location in Pico, Rivera for 25 years. I've duly paid all business taxes and have city-issued business license during this time. My business centers around transportation through Southern California via trailers. I also operate a 42,000 square foot warehouse with 25 employees. For 25 years, our business model has included storage of trailers on our property. The reasons for this is it can take several days from pickup until delivery. Storing trailers on our property is economical for our customers because if they were left at the rails or port, storage costs would be $200 a day and up. On April 20th, we were served with an administrative citation. The gist of that is that after 25 years, the city is now requiring that we remove trailers from our property except when directly engaged in our warehouse. Only recently did the city take issue with the way we stored trailers. Until now, we were granted all necessary licenses. Our interpretation of those licenses and inaction of the city over the past 25 years condoned the use of trailer storage on our property. We spoke to our landlord, Centerpoint Property. The alleged violations were first directed to them. Centerport isn't sure why the matter has arisen, as they have previously agreed to the city using it properly as it always has. We also spoke to our main neighbors and business and residents. None of them have expressed any issues that we have operated over the last 25 years. Given this, and since the corrective measure notice citations are vague, I wanted to meet with the city managers. To date, my efforts have not been successful. It is also important to note that if the city did change the code for zoning, since it has approved our permits, since our property has been continuous over the last 25 years, it is very likely ad use of the property qualifies as pre-existing non-conforming use exceptions to the new code of zoning. I wanted to resolve this matter with the city. My company likes Pico Rivera. It provides ready access to the ports and rails and is centrally located to our delivery points. My hope is that with the City Council's help and oversight, I can set up a meeting with the city manager to resolve this matter as soon as possible. Obviously, we'd like to continue to operate under the business model we've used since 1998 and continue our positive partnership with the city. At very least, we don't believe the fines assessed in the citation are fair or constitutional and should be avoided. I'd also like to understand why the city view of our operation has suddenly changed after 25 years.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Our next public comment is Mr. John N. Soto. Mr. Soto, if you kindly come up to the lectern. You have 3 minutes.
On Saturday, May 6th, the golf course had another loud and intrusive party. The sheriffs were called at 10:28. The next day, on Sunday evening, the music was again playing. I don't know what the results are from the sound engineer's report is. I requested a copy several weeks ago, but have not received one. At this time, I don't have a lot to say about what the so-called expert has to say. I have a lot to say, and if we don't agree with the report. The city manager and Parks and Recreation director are intent on using a sound engineer to determine if the golf course is a problem. I don't need a sound engineer to tell me what I know. The loud music at the golf course is loud and intrusive. If I could hear it from my front yard or side yard, it is a violation of the city ordinance. All anyone has to do is come to our neighborhood when the music is playing and hear that it is intrusive into our lives. As I said over a month ago, the only acceptable read on a decibel meter is 0. Of course, there is ambient noise. That is normal anywhere. What is not acceptable is loud music above the ambient noise. Some have said that the noise is relevant. Some sounds annoy some but do not upset others. I think that we can agree when the noise makes our windows rattle, and as we in the neighborhood are upset about it, then it is a common problem. My wife and family have gone camping many times. In our campgrounds, we are allowed to play music. The standard is this: if your music can be heard in the campground next to yours, then it is too loud. This is a simple common sense approach to keeping the peace. In Exhibit A of the contract, it states amplified music is allowed only in the back holes for tournament bookings of the entire golf course. The city reserves the right to require tournament sponsors to reduce the volume of amplified music if complaints are received from other tournament players or residents. Nowhere does it state about a long process of hiring a sound engineer. It simply states if the residents complain, then action has to be taken to lower the music. Also, the contract does not state amplified music can be played in the banquet facilities or clubhouse. The city ordinance does not state anywhere about music being considered loud only if a decibel meter says it is. It says if there are complaints, then it is too loud. Play loud music even 2 days a week is unacceptable. We have owned this particular home for 17 years, and the golf course has become increasingly louder and more frequent in the last 6 years, especially after the pandemic. I challenge you all to produce another golf course that intrudes in their neighbor's privacy the way this one does. If you want, let's all take a field trip together. Go to 6 golf courses, and I'll show you that they don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Soto. Our next public speaker, Lauren Talbot, from the LA County Libraries. Ms. Talbot.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Lauren Talbot, and I'm the Community Library Manager at Pico Rivera Library and Rivera Library. We have some great programs coming up in May. LA County Public Health will be holding a vaccine clinic at the Rivera Library on Friday, May 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. They will be offering COVID vaccines and boosters as well as the flu shot. This is a free event and no insurance is required. On Saturday, May 20th at 4 p.m. at the Pico Rivera Library, Phoebe Chow will be hosting a cooking demonstration on how to make Taiwanese pineapple pastries and talk about Taiwanese culture and food. Families are invited to an afternoon of board game fun at the Pico Rivera Library on Wednesday, May 24th at 4:30 p.m. They will enjoy book talks from the children's librarian and get a preview of the summer reading program. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Talbot. And now our written comment that we have from Mr. Jose Sanchez, and to my colleagues on the dais, if everyone has a copy from Mr. Sanchez, and it's in regards to abandoned lot 4121 and 4129 Rosemead Boulevard. So you all have copies of pictures that were taken and the comment that was provided by Mr. Jose Sanchez. Madam City Clerk, do we have any comments via Zoom?
We do not.
Okay, thank you. Moving on from public comment, we're now,
Mayor, I would like to ask a question to our city manager.
yes.
Can you provide the phone number to code enforcement for these instances of loud noise? I find I'm dismayed by residents that call the sheriff, whereas I don't see it as a criminal offense, and that's taking away from other emergencies of our law enforcement. And I know, for instance, my virtual city hall, the app, you can download that, report any noise ordinance, the time, the location. You can even pinpoint the location, and that we have staff available on the weekends, correct?
That is correct.
So can we provide that to Mr. Sanchez? I live in that area as well, to try that as a first. And if there is any emergency that, should happen, and then the sheriff should be second if there's an emergency.
Yeah, we'll get that information.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on to our consent calendar, items 3 through 15, minus item number 6. Can we get a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
And can we get a second?
Second.
Great. Mayor Pro Tem Lara motioned and second by Councilmember Garcia. Moving on to,
And Mr. Mayor, before you take a vote, I think it should be noted that it's item 13, correct? On item number 13, Councilmember Camacho will not be participating in that vote. He does not have to step out of the room. You don't have to do a separate vote under the Brown Act, but just noted for the record that he will not be participating due to a potential family financial interest in that matter.
okay. So item number 13, Councilmember Camacho will not be voting on that item. And moving on to roll call. Items 3 through 15, minus number 6. Madam City Clerk?
Councilmember Commissioner Dr. Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Commissioner Camacho,
Yes, minus 13.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice President Lara,
Yes.
Mayor President Lutz.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And moving on to item number 6, Veterans Commission appointment. And this is to approve a resolution approving Mayor Pro Tem Lara's appointment to the Veterans Commission.
Mayor, we had pulled that item.
Oh,
Yeah.
you pulled, okay.
Yeah, there was some paperwork that we wanted.
Very good. Now moving on to our regular agenda, item number 16, which is the first reading to introduce an ordinance prohibiting spectators and participants at illegal motor vehicle speed contests or exhibitions of speed known as street takeovers. Mr. City Manager.
Yes, Mayor, at this time, I'd like to bring Phil Marquez up to give a presentation. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our Captain Hutak, also staff Jesse Garcia for assisting everybody in putting this thing together. This was a result of Councilmember Garcia's motion some time ago, and so we are now ready to present this and hopefully adopt at the City Council. Phil?
So good evening, council members, good evening, Mayor Pro, Mr. Lara, and good evening, Mr. Lutz. I'm here to give you an overview of a proposed city ordinance prohibiting spectators and participants as street takeovers and establishes a process for forfeiture of vehicles that are involved. The purpose of the ordinance is, the proposed ordinance will provide the city with additional tools and is a proactive measure to prevent and deter illegal street takeovers, which pose risks to drivers, spectators, and cause damage to city streets and private property. Although California Code Section 23109 makes street takeovers illegal, the proposed ordinance will implement more aggressive prohibitions and penalties to deter both the participation and the attendance of the spectators. The penalties in this ordinance are not exclusive. They will supplement any other regulatory codes, statutes, and ordinances enacted by the city, the state, or other legal entities having jurisdiction. Participants and spectators coordinate these events through social media and other electronic devices, making it very difficult for law enforcement to detect and to prosecute these violators. The violations and the penalties. Spectators at street takeovers are guilty of a misdemeanor if they are found within 500 feet of the event or preparations are being made. These individuals can receive an administrative citation resulting in a fine of $2,000. The city attorney or the district attorney has the authority to prosecute a violation of this ordinance. The law also allows law enforcement to investigate and penalize participants on street takeovers. Under this ordinance, motor vehicles involved in street takeovers are considered a nuisance and subject to forfeiture. Establishes a legal procedure of forfeiture of such vehicles engaged in street takeovers. Vehicles driven by the owner, a member of the owner's family, a passenger with a prior contact in the vehicle, or a driver living at the same address as the owner are subject to the vehicle being forfeited. Again, penalties in this ordinance are not exclusive and will supplement any other regulatory codes, statutes, and ordinances enacted by the city, the state, or other legal entities having jurisdiction. Other municipalities with street takeover ordinances, the cities of Long Beach, Los Angeles, Anaheim, Beverly Hills, Buena Park, Santa Ana, Lakewood, and Paramount are some cities that have or are in the process of adopting ordinances penalizing attendance and participation in street takeover events. The city manager, public safety coordinator, and the Pico Rivera Sheriff Station will coordinate the training, the implementation, the public outreach, and the enforcement of this ordinance. Thank you, and at this time I'd answer any questions or take any comments.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Garcia.
Just to rewind a little bit and move back on how we came to this, my colleagues and I here had a chance to attend some training up in Sacramento where this information was introduced to us, and we thought it was a pretty good idea. And Dr. Sanchez right here pushed me and gave me information, sent me information to move this item forward. So I really appreciate all the support on this. And I do want to thank our city manager, the staff, our captain, and Phil Marquez for moving this so swiftly, because this puts Pico Rivera in a proactive response, not a reactive. We know what the street takeovers do in terms of tearing up our roads and innocent people getting hurt on these street takeovers. So I just want to commend you and thank you for your hard work in moving this so quickly in a proactive manner. Thank you.
I would like to say, the conversation of this started, I believe, over a year ago. Councilmember Camacho and several of us on the city council attended a legislative summit in Sacramento where there was a press conference regarding these street takeovers. And we said, we're having the same issues in our city. What can we do to protect ourselves? And so thank you so much. I'm glad to see this come forward with our other colleagues. And again, thank you to Councilmember Camacho for bringing it to our attention. We learned a lot. The second thing that I wanted to mention is I feel it's important to include in there that the vehicle can be seized or towed. For instance, one thing that happens is the person may not be involved in the actual street racing, but they block the roads with their vehicle in order to prevent law enforcement from getting access. So those vehicles too can be not only fined, but their vehicles can be seized as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, those vehicles that are blocking the roadways and stuff, in this particular ordinance, those vehicles will be towed for blocking the roadway if they're left abandoned and stuff. And that would be a regular vehicle code that would be used to take those particular vehicles. But yes, those vehicles will be towed also.
Even if they were not physically racing or even in their vehicle, but it's their vehicle and they were there at the event watching.
Well, again, they would have to either be blocking the road, or it would have to be a vehicle code violation for a spectator's vehicle to be towed. But again, as you've already mentioned, those vehicles are used a lot of times to block the roadways. And yes, they are able to be towed under a vehicle code violation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is in regards to enforcement. So I noticed that you put in on the second bullet point, the city attorney or the district attorney. Given that the district attorney really isn't prosecuting a bunch of misdemeanor cases, how does that work with our city attorney being able to get involved and adjudicate some of these items?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, our office also serves as city prosecutor for code enforcement matters and also has jurisdiction over certain misdemeanors and other crimes as established under our municipal code. So in the event that should occur and citations were issued, our office would step in and prosecute it.
So then there's going to be communication, I assume. For example, say there's a street takeover this Friday night, and officers are able to show up, they're able to impound cars, so on and so forth, and then they kick the charges over to the district attorney. He chooses not to file. That'll come back. You'll let us know. Who will you let know, Captain?
So at that point, we would coordinate with the city manager to funnel the further, the criminal justice system
Yeah.
through the city.
Okay. And then we'd make a determination whether or not we were going to pursue enforcement of the ordinance.
Correct.
Okay.
Sir, if I could just add something to
Yeah,
that real
yeah.
quick. Now, understand that these particular ordinances are going to be done on administrative citations, not violations that are going to go in front of the district attorney's office. They're administrative citations. So there's going to be a 3-panel that's going to be hired from the city that are going to be listening to these particular violations of this ordinance. So the district attorney, most of the time, will not see any of these violations of law. It will be handled on a municipal citation, not a regular citation that will be written by the deputies. So again, a lot of times the district attorney's office and Mr. Glassman's office will not even see this. This will be handled in-house at the city level.
Okay, that's perfect. Just my last comment on this. These sorts of crimes they're not happenstance. They're not someone's maybe speeding too much or they didn't see the red light. This is purposeful.
Coordinated effort.
Yeah, this is purposeful, coordinated effort. They're becoming more violent now, unfortunately. The bystanders are becoming hurt. They're starting to assault people who are trying to stop or just trying to go on their way.
Yes, sir.
So, no, this is a great idea.
Thank you.
Councilmember?
A lot has changed since the first one we had back a few years back on Paramount and Washington Boulevard. And it's great to finally have something that has some teeth. I know there's some legislative action that continues to add potential more teeth to all of this. But I just want to thank specifically the city council for continuing to prioritize public safety in our community. Thank you, Captain, for the work you do on that front. And specifically, again, thank you for Councilmember Dr. Sanchez and Councilmember Garcia to bringing this motion forward for us to really now put it on the table. So again, thank you all.
Thank you.
I did have a question, Public Safety Coordinator Marquez. If there is an issue with people doing donuts in the middle of intersections by themselves or on public property, or better yet, private property parking lots. In fact, it happens 3-4 times a week in my neighborhood by Rivera Park. There's a church adjacent to the park, and people know that as a site to do the donuts when you get your car ready to go. And in that particular instance, does this ordinance cover that individual's car, if caught, to be impounded?
Absolutely. The deputy that responds out there can actually go under the administrative citation and use this ordinance use the city ordinance, or they can actually take this individual, write a complaint report, and provide it to the district attorney for filing. So yes, this is, again, another tool to supplement just going through the district attorney's office. They see this as a low-level crime. They don't want to prosecute it. Then again, we'll use this tool to actually go after the individual, take his vehicle, and go through the forfeiture proceedings.
That's music to my ears. So to reiterate, if someone or a group of people are caught in a street takeover, or they're doing donuts in the middle of the street and they're caught by our local sheriff's department, their cars will be impounded and they'll be cited with a $2,000 fine. Is that correct?
That is correct. As long as the deputy is very simple, obviously he has probable cause to understand that that vehicle was used in that street takeover, that is going to be impounded, and an administrative citation of $2,000 will be issued.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Councilmember Garcia, for bringing that forward. And it'll be a great help to our captain and our sheriff's department to show that our city, as Councilmember Camacho said, is being proactive to keep the community safe. And with that, can we get a motion to approve item number 16?
Move, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, and can I have a second?
Second.
Very good. A first by Councilmember Garcia, a second by Councilmember Dr. Monica Sanchez, and roll call. Madam City Clerk?
Councilmember Garcia, I'm sorry, Councilmember Dr. Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia?
Yes.
Councilmember Camacho?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lara?
Yes.
Mayor Lutz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you for that.
Thank
And
you.
now, thank you for that. And now moving on to the city manager's staff reports. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, Mayor. I just have a couple items, and this is going to be led by Pam Ugard, Director of Park and Recs. The first item is a presentation, and I actually seen Mr. Soto walking out, but I had staff bring him back in because it relates to the noise study that was performed at the golf course. We recently received the final report 2 days ago, so I know he had mentioned that he requested it several weeks ago, but we just got the report, the final report, as I said a couple days ago. We hired noise monitoring services. They are California's leading acoustic consulting and noise control company. Some of their clients include the City of Napa, Port of Long Beach, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, City of Beverly Hills, LAX, Metro, PG&E, Porsche, Shell Company, and Orange County. So before I turn it over with them, Thomas Corbishley was the principal of Noise. He has 15 years of experience working as an acoustical consultant. He's responsible for the overall management of the business and leads a team of talented experts. He holds a Master's of Engineering degree in Acoustical Engineering from the University of Southampton's Institute of Sound and Vibration Research in the UK, graduating with first-class honors. Tom has a strong theoretical and practical background in acoustical engineering. His areas of expertise include environmental noise control, regulatory compliance, oil and gas production noise, flow-induced noise, room acoustics, and occupational noise. Again, I'll turn it over to Pam to give the results of that report.
Great. Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council, and thank you, City Manager. Now, we've been working on this, as Mr. Soto has stated, for several months. We started with this concern probably about a year or two ago, maybe a year ago that he brought it to the department's attention, but I got involved about 4 months ago. It hadn't escalated to my office until then. I went out and visited Mr. Soto and his area and to understand that. And so just so everyone knows, when this started, we used to have events outside on the patio. We used to have events right there, you know, right by Hole 1. Since Mr. Soto brought his concern to myself, we have ceased having those events outside on the patio. So those are no longer even allowed at the golf course. So we've mitigated that to try to help with the noise. This service that came in, we did it the week of April 14th through the 17th. We hid a sound monitor right adjacent to the location of Mr. Soto's house. And so please don't shoot the messenger for this data that I'm going to provide. I'm providing the data from the sound engineer as it was reported. And we did receive the report 2 days ago, but the city manager and I had additional questions that we felt you would want some answers to. So the final report was given to me last night at 11 o'clock. So this is hot off the press, which is why we wanted to present it to you first. So the next slide, Gabe, if you don't mind. It was a 3-day period of sound measurements. 1 day was completely just ambient noise. We had no events going on at the golf course. We chose this weekend specifically because we knew we were going to have an event on one evening that had a live band. We also knew that there would be another event on another day that had a DJ. So these were some of the concerns, and then it's compared against just ambient noise from with the banquet hall being completely empty. The analyst was completely objective. Mr. Corbison puts his reputation on this, and this is coming from him. This is a vetted professional providing this unbiased report. We went against LA County noise ordinances. These are official county decibel readings and ordinance that are approved or disapproved are based on for what Mr. Corbison is going against with the noise that he found with this 3-day assessment. If you can go to the next slide. Oh, I let you know that when this was prior to us getting the sound engineer, we've done everything we can. We've closed the doors at the golf course. We do not allow anything on the patio anymore. And Mr. I can't remember Rudy's name right now. I'm sorry? Thank you, Mr. Valles. What he does now is he walks every party out just to make sure that people are even trying to keep their voices down at the end of a party, you know, since we understand that there are residents there. If you can go to the next slide. So this is the analysis, and this is the findings from the 3-day report. Unfortunately, just so everybody knows, there's a certain level of ambient noise that the county considers just normal. Our levels at the golf course on a quiet day exceed the ambient noise. So they started out our ambient levels at a little bit higher than the LA County regulations. And that is because the truck traffic from the 605 freeway, noise traffic, and nothing that's related to the golf course. It all has to do with traffic noise coming from the freeway. And the horns and ambulances are already exceed the ambient noise. And the cars and the brakes and all those things. Not unfortunately, but our readings on all 3 days, even when we had a live band, even when we had a DJ, were not above the ambient noise. The ambient noise from the 605 freeway was louder than the tested dates of the noise that came through on the 3-day reading. There were only 2 spikes in the 3-day reading. One was at 7 o'clock on Friday, and one was on 11 o'clock on, it was either Saturday or Sunday. But they're not related to what was going on in the banquet hall. There was a siren going off, there was an emergency vehicle that went off, and there was also voices coming from the parking lot. So those 2 items were louder than what is going on in the banquet hall, according to the sound study. If you can go to the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, if you don't mind going back. We also asked them to go back and check their bass, the bass, because we understand that sometimes if people complain about noise, it would affect the windows, it would affect, the vibrations of the house. The gentleman went back and he redid the study, and he said that the noise levels of the bass were under the ambient noise. So I know that doesn't make our residents happy, but from the study that we did and from the gentleman's professional opinion, our golf course and the banquet hall and all of the events that are happening, at least on that weekend, we gave them appropriately what we have every single weekend, was under the LA County rules and regulations for noise and does not exceed the ambient noise. The next slide. So what we propose to do is constantly work on trying to make sure that the doors are closed. We talk to every single guest that are booking the facility. We no longer allow patio usage for the facility, but we talk to them and we make sure that they are quiet on their way out. We are going to be putting up signage that states, please be courteous of our locals, of our residents. And those are the things that we feel that we can do at this point in time to try to help the residents along that jurisdiction.
That concludes our report.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Director Ugar. Well, that would be during public comment, so we can have you respond during public comment. Mr. Soto, yeah. So we just want to follow protocol here and provide that information. But I do have
Sure, of course, I'm here.
a question. I remember Mr. Soto reached out to me, and he mentioned to me that the party continues outside the banquet hall in the patio area, and that he had mentioned to me that was his concern. So
We do not allow that, and Mr. Valle absolutely knows that, and that is why, since the past couple of months, he walks the people out. He makes sure that they leave and that they get in their car. A lot of times, people after a wedding, they're excited. They're putting their gifts in they're putting their gifts away, and they're chattering. They might have had a drink or something like that, and they're loud. So he's now, I would say, counseling them and letting them know, hey, we have residents. Please be quiet if you don't mind. We know you had a really nice event, but it's time to go now.
And so you had mentioned that the operator is now going to have signage that they have to abide by that states that the festivities are not allowed outside of the building.
No, I didn't say that. What I said was that we're going to be putting signage up. Our staff, in collaboration with Public Works, will be putting signage up that states, please be courteous of the residents adjacent, please keep your voices down. That's what we've noticed at a lot of golf courses, especially at Hole 1, since it's close to proximity to another home. We're going to put those types of signage up.
Okay. Do you have any comments or questions from the dais? Yes.
Just, I assume that all this information is going to be readily available for the residents, that they can look at the data and whatnot.
I'm sure, absolutely,
Okay.
yes. We
Yeah.
just wanted to present it to you first. And like I said, I got the final report last night at 11.
Okay, great.
Thank you for that. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, one other item. I'd also like to turn it over to Pam
Sure.
Ugar. As you notice in front of you, Mr. Mayor, there are some number of awards there from our award-winning Park and Recs Department, and Pam will discuss those a little bit further.
Yes, we're really excited about this. Last week, we attended the California Association of Public Information Officials, the CAPIO conference. It's a big deal. It's a big deal in media world. It's a big deal in the graphic world and the arts world. It's a big deal for Gabe because he's considered our PIO. And what we did, what happened last week is we submitted several months ago some awards. And not only did we win in 3 different categories, but for the second year in a row, and this is huge, there was about 500, 600 people in the room of all cities in California, and we also took home the Best of Show, which is the #1 award in the state of California. So we won for the award of distinction for our, if you've noticed our Dial-A-Van, they're beautiful. The avocados and the citrus and those that are going around town, they're so beautiful. We won for that rebranding. We won for our Epic, the transit design in general for all of the portfolios that was created by Gabriel Daigle. And our own Robert Moreno, who's not here today, he won for Best in Photography in the state of California for the boxing event that was brought to us. And and Nathan Morenito won again on Saturday, so that was really, quite cool for us. But Robert won for the photography of the boxing, and that wouldn't have happened had we not had that boxing event here. So thank you for that. And then we won the overall one in Pico Rivera. Everywhere we went, they said, "How do you do it? How do you do it?" And myself, and it was really nice to hear this coming from my staff, from Rudy Alvarado and Robert Moreno. They gave you all kudos. They said it's because we're supported. We have a great city council, a great mayor, and a great city manager. So I just wanted to give that all to you because that came from the staff. I say that all the time, but they know it too. So thank you for that. And congratulations, because these belong to you.
Let's have my fellow council members and the Mayor Pro Tem hold what excellence is from our staff's hard work.
We're going to get that last one, so you all have one, okay?
Okay.
I love it. I love it. Best in show.
There you go.
Two years in a row. So Rudy comes in today and he said, "We need a three-peat." Next year, we're like, okay.
There you go. Congratulations. Well done.
I really do appreciate that, that our team is raising the bar. And thanks again for that. Yeah, absolutely.
So we did Gabe. Gabe, are you able to come out?
Are you in there, Gabe?
And Robert just texted me. He said he's at the other location.
Okay, okay. Let's all stand and
You want to sit in the chair or stand?
Nope.
No worries. Okay, thank you.
All right, now moving on to the good of the order, which is intergovernmental agency meetings, AB 1234, new business and old business. And if we can start with Councilmember Garcia, then Councilmember Camacho, Councilmember Dr. Monica Sanchez, and Mayor Pro Tem Lara.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had an opportunity with some of my colleagues here on the dais to attend Supervisor Janice Hahn's food distribution at Pico Park. I think it was nearly 1,000 families went through there. It was well attended. Also had a chance to attend National Day of Prayer at Pico Park, and that may be the venue for future reference because those who did attend really enjoyed that venue indoor at Pico Park. I also had a chance yesterday in this room as we developed our Veterans Commission to attend the oath of office for some of the veteran commissioners. I don't have anything to report on AB 123. However, I do want to make a recommendation, Mr. Mayor. When we do future projects, I just want to go on record that we include maintenance and upkeep and cost on future projects so that we're not surprised with looking to scramble to generate new revenue. As we bring on these new projects and bring them online, do we need more employees? What is the maintenance? What is the upkeep of these future projects that we're doing? They're all great projects, but at some point, it may catch up with us if we don't plan and prepare for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to report that I've attended the General Assembly for the Southern California Association of Governments to vote on items related to transportation. This body extends from LA County, Riverside, Orange County, and there's a lot of regional transportation and housing issues that are being taken upon, and I attended to vote on those items, but also attended some sessions on transportation, big things happening here in the city of Pico Rivera, so it's great to partake there. I also wanted to report for vector control, as I've stated before, and say it again because that's my responsibility, is we're going to have a major influx of mosquitoes this season because of the rain, so we have to make sure we're diligent. There are some issues related to vector control as raising rates and assessment as it relates to operating expenses, so forth, that I've been talking to staff about, but it's something forthcoming that I'll bring a report on the vector control. In addition to that, I attended, it was a scholarship provided by the National Association of Latino Elected Officials. I happen to sit on the board and represent California on that board, but also attended the Policy Institute on Economic Mobility, something that we've been talking about, particularly the workforce here in our city, development, working with our trades, our trade unions, and amongst many other organizations that I believe we here at the city can do a better job in providing pathways and workforce opportunities for our residents, both our youth and our seniors, reentry programs, veterans, and so forth. That I think is something that we need to continue working on, which I'll be pushing forward in the next few months. Lastly, I do have a request. I know that recently Mayor Pro Tem Lara and I, as well as Councilmember Garcia, attended a meeting with some businesses. But one issue that has been coming about is we have some commercial properties or owners of certain commercial properties that lease out their space but do little, if nothing, to make improvements to their property. Even basic improvements of lighting and for safety of both the customers and business owners and employees. And I think it's something maybe we should work towards with the city manager, maybe create an ordinance that gives us some teeth to be able to make sure that when it comes down to the well-being and safety of our community, that these owners of properties that we love to have in our city, but they need to invest a little bit on their property and not let it, fall apart to the degree that it becomes a safety issue for our community. And I guess I can ask for a second on that.
I'll second that. I totally agree with the council member.
Thank you, that is in there.
Thank you. Councilmember Dr. Sanchez.
Thank you. I was able to attend a few events this past week. First, I would like to highlight the Congressional Art Competition hosted by Congresswoman Linda Sanchez. The winner of the overall competition was El Rancho High School student, Leslie Cerda. She got a $500 scholarship. Her art will be displayed in Washington, D.C. In addition, she's going to get an all-expense-paid trip to Washington, D.C. to compete in the nationwide art competition. And so congratulations to her. Her art piece was a collage titled Mother Earth, and it was wonderful. It was a beautiful celebration with her parents, the school district, school board came out, and that was hosted at the WRD here in Pico Rivera. So, and there were a number of El Rancho High School students that won in several competitions, including the competition, they had different categories like photography, collage, different mediums, and every ribbon that I saw was someone from El Rancho High School. So I'm proud to say it was another clean sweep here amongst our high school students as well. Secondly, I was able to attend the Cinco de Mayo event at the American Legion on Durfee. It was sponsored by VPAN, the Veterans Peer Access Network, and they had a wonderful event. We gave certificates out to veterans that volunteer. They had tacos from East LA taco truck vendor, and they also had mariachi. So it's a great event there for the veterans and with the veterans, and I'm grateful that I was invited. Next, I was able to attend the food distribution as well that we had hosted with our sponsor, Janice Hahn, and the LA Food Bank. And there were 1,000 boxes of food. I think we were done before the end time. It was a long line in the morning at Pico Park, so that's a great need. People were really grateful. Second, where was I? I have a lot of events that I attended. I also was able to attend open house for countywide fire service day. So LA County had open house at all of the fire stations. And I was able to attend a tour at Station 40. And it was wonderful. They let us get in the engine, ask the firefighters any questions. They gave us a tour of all their facilities. And my son and my family got to attend. So my son's best friend and the neighbors really enjoyed it. So thank you to the LA County firefighters for opening the doors for that. I also attended the LA Peace Officers Association car show. It was a fundraiser sponsored also with ALADS, the Sheriff Union, CHP, and law enforcement. It was a fundraiser for crime victims and their families. They collect the money to help victims of crime throughout LA County that work with the sheriff. So that was great. The MC was a former Pico Rivera resident, very famous homicide detective from LA County Sheriff's Gil Carrillo, and he's aired in a Netflix show. He was instrumental in capturing Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. So he was there and very popular Pico Rivera resident, and his daughter still lives here actually. So he's a Pico Rivera native, and he was the MC for the event. So watch it on Netflix, and you can see who I'm talking about. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing to report out regarding AB 1234, but there are a few events that I'd like to speak on. Yesterday, I had the privilege of attending the inaugural meeting of the Veterans Commission. In addition to the members holding their meeting, the VSO that services our Veterans Resource Center. He's in Pico Rivera on Mondays between the hours of 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. He reported out, and I wrote down some numbers, or at least some approximation of numbers, and they're fairly close. He's been there approximately 19 Mondays. He manages to see about 10 veterans per day. He's seen, so that's about approximately 190 appointments that he's had booked. He's only had about like 3 cancellations. 119 were in person, and the remainder, 68, were either on Zoom or through conference call, telephone call. So it's highly successful, and he's still finding that a lot of residents in the city of Pico Rivera who are veterans don't know about it, despite the fact that he said that the city did such a great job at promoting it. So word is still getting out, and he's having a lot of success. He's having a lot of success overturning denial claims in terms of medical diagnoses or a diagnosis. And that means usually a large, significant amount of back pay that's given to these veterans. So they're getting sums of money that was owed to them. But because of his advocacy, that's becoming a reality. So a lot of these veterans, they want to give him things, and they're so thankful is what I'm trying to illustrate, because it's really helping them out. And I want to give credit to staff. I want to give credit to this council for creating that Veterans Resource Center, for creating the Veterans Commission, because at yesterday's meeting, there was a spirited conversation on when should we hold the commemoration of Veterans Day. And it was a spirited discussion. There was members in the audience, and it went both ways. The commission made a decision, and we respected their decision as a body. But all of that, sitting in the audience and seeing that discussion take place, reminded me why we needed a Veterans Commission. Because I'm not a veteran, and I don't feel comfortable making those decisions, but they made those decisions among themselves. And there was disagreement at times, but then there was a decision that was made, and that decision lies with them in that community, and we follow through. The other thing was the restroom regarding LA County Public Library. Secondly, I, along with Councilmember Camacho, along with Councilmember Garcia, we held a small sit-down meeting with the businesses on the north side. I also had a drive-through with a resident who wanted to point out some very specific concerns that she had on the north side. You know, there's this historic belief, and I somewhat buy into it, is that for a long time the north side has been neglected for a variety of reasons. But I like to think that we're changing that. You know, we repaved Rosemead Boulevard, we have the medians coming in, we have the dog park come in, $8 million going in for Rio Hondo Park. I think some substantial changes are being made, but there's much more that needs to be done, especially in regards to ordinance, in regards to people doing mechanic work right on the street, in regards to these pocket motorcycles going up and down the alleys. You've warned us about that. You've brought that to our attention, and we want to clamp down on that. So I value that. We're going to get to work. A number of us have different assignments that we're going to take on, things such as lighting, grand openings that we want to give a spotlight to, and providing further safety. Lastly, two last items, the START program. I had the opportunity of being there. Our supervisor, Janice Hahn, kicked off that program in regards to mental health of students and creating a phone number. Hopefully it will transition over to text so that students, if they see suspicious behavior, they're saying something, if their gut just doesn't feel right, then they'll do something. And then lastly, the National Day of Prayer. And I agree with Councilmember Garcia. I think hopefully that'll be the new venue. Because it was just, they had the projector, we were able to sing, we weren't exposed to the elements. It was a nice venue. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I do want to report the items that I have, which is item AB 1234, Sanitation District 2. We had a meeting and we voted on items that needed maintenance and repair. I also did attend the National Day of Prayer, which was fantastic to sit down with our local religious leaders and shared a day of prayer so that we can have blessings upon our families, our city, and our safety in general. I also did have the opportunity with my colleagues to attend the Supervisor Hahn's food distribution at Pico Park, and again, it was a wonderful event, very efficient. The city of Pico Rivera has mastered the food distributions, and the residents that come from nearby cities as well as Pico Rivera are very grateful for the food distributions that we have. And again, thank you, Supervisor Hahn, for providing that here in the city of Pico Rivera. And in addition, our supervisor continued her strong efforts and launching, as my colleague Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, the launch of the START program, which is in essence a telephone number that students in high schools, junior highs, and elementaries can call if they feel that one of their fellow friends or students in the school may be a potential person that would commit a crime, a shooting, better yet said, to call the phone number anonymously or open the app and send a message, and someone would help curtail some tragic event that would happen in the school system. So again, we attended that, and we were very thankful that the supervisor held that within our school district in the Boys and Girls Club location. And finally, I did attend the WRD Festival. It was an educational festival that was held at their Lakewood location, and I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot about the WRD, and they also had a petting zoo, and they had to have a food giveaway, and of course, food is very important to me, so I enjoyed that. And maybe that's where I lost my voice. But that is all the items on my behalf. And Madam City Clerk, can you take us to any other items besides that? And Mr. City Attorney, can we adjourn this meeting?
Be appropriate to adjourn, yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.